on my fucking sweater. Be annoying.
Taking my shoes off. Oh, freak. Okay.
Oh, I guess I could do it like this, right? Does that look like it's gonna rub?
No, it looks good. Is mine even on?
Yep. Mine's on.
Yep.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Test.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thanks for joining us for the Realty. It is just me and Cassie today.
Cheyenne got some stuff that she's working on, job transitions and such, so she's not joining us today.
She's with us in spirit.
Correct.
So this morning I learned of a true crime case that is real estate related that I like to share.
Yeah.
So forgive me, I don't have all of the details perfectly. I mean, no disrespect to the deceased or the loved ones. If I get anything incorrect, again, I did hear this morning. It was really tragic. It's not a new case by any means, but it was interesting and kind of just the reality of
eye-opening.
Yeah.
Right. So little different kind of episode today, not a Reddit story or anything, just hanging out, talking about things that happen in the real estate world.
And I think it definitely gives an opportunity to open up discussion on safety and precautions for realtors, especially young women, but really anybody who is in this field. So in 2008, Lindsay Buziak, she was living in Canada. I apologize. It was British Columbia. I'm not sure. I'm not super familiar with Canada. She was a 24-year-old RE/MAX agent. She had a boyfriend who was also an agent. Both of their families were very involved in real estate. She was pretty successful, but she was still a new agent. She got a super exciting, what would be a life-changing call, especially for a new agent and such a young one. She received a call on her personal cell phone, which was odd, from a woman who said her and her husband were relocating to that area. They wanted to buy a home. They had $1 million budget.
Yeah.
And they wanted a fast close, like less than a week close. And of course, she's like
jumping for joy. Yeah.
But she was also right away very
skeptical
of the whole thing, between probably the amount, I guess, during that time, the housing market in that area had kind of taken a turn for the worst. And so people weren't really buying $1 million homes. So she was a little apprehensive right away. The other thing was that she did receive the call on her personal cell phone. She had a work cell phone, and that was the number that she advertised. So she had asked them, hey, how did you get my number? Like, how did you hear about me? And they had said they were put in touch with her by one of her past clients. She was like, okay, great. She had reached out to all of her past clients, though, and nobody pretty much had referred her. So she told her father and her boyfriend both about it. She had said that the woman had a very heavy Spanish accent, but almost it didn't seem like real. She felt like it was a fake accent. Her dad suggested, why don't you bring your boyfriend along with you? He's a big guy, 6'3", hockey player, also an agent. She talked to him about it, and she had talked to these potential clients a bit, found them the perfect house. They were coming to the area to go see it. So her boyfriend had some plans that night relating to a real estate deal that the two of them were working on together, as well as dinner plans with a friend. So he went about his plans. He said, I will meet you at the house. Like, you go. Because she also didn't want to, if these were perfectly normal people, she didn't want to offend them by being nervous to be alone with them. So she didn't want him to come with her. He had also offered to do it for her, but she was like, no, like this is a big deal for me. So he was like, say less, like I will meet you there at like just after 5:30. Her showing was at 5:30. So he ran his errands with his friend, and he called her and was like, you know, I'm going to be there a little later than I thought, but I am headed that way. And she told him that they had arrived, and he said, fine, but just text me the whole time. He had sent her a text. She responded. And then he sent her a text letting her know that he was like a few minutes away, and she didn't respond. He gets there, and when he gets there, he sees the couple at the door, and they go inside and close the door. So he was like, oh, like the showing just started. They must have got there late. Although when he was on the phone with her, she had said that they just arrived.
Right.
So he parked his car on the street because, again, didn't want to like offend anybody.
It's the safer option too.
He waited. He had texted her again. She didn't answer. He waited a little longer. And he was like, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't care if I look overprotective. If, you know, if somebody gets offended,
right.
I'm going to check.
You could make some excuse for why you're there.
Yeah. So he went to check. The door was locked. Now, if you are an agent, or if you've ever been shown a house by an agent, you're not locking the door behind you after you walk into a home.
With strangers.
Yes, absolutely. So the door was locked.
Red flag.
He knocks on the door. He's ringing the bell. They're looking in the windows. Her car is there, but they don't see anybody. So he calls the cops, and he's like, this is the situation.
Yeah.
Please, can you like send police here to check on her? They go around to the back of the house, and there's like a patio, and the door there is opened. So he boosts his friend up, and he sends him in to go unlock the door. They go inside. His wife's shoes are next to the door because this is $1 million listing. Like, she took off her shoes. It's a vacant home as well. This isn't, nobody lives here. They check the first floor. She's not there. He goes upstairs, and upstairs he finds his girlfriend, Lindsay, and there's blood, so much blood. They call 911 again. His friend calls 911, and police instruct him to check for a pulse and to begin CPR. But unfortunately, it was too late. She was gone. The police do show up because they had already been on the way. She had been stabbed. There's a lot of like mixed information, but it seems like she was stabbed dozens of times in the chest and the face and the neck. So super violent, super vicious. There is no physical evidence, no sign of the people. The boyfriend had seen the couple, but they were walking into the house. He had seen them.
Right, he saw the back of them.
So, she had been attacked from behind. She had no defensive wounds. Just super disturbing, disgusting, just awful attack. So they're, of course, investigating. They are able to pretty quickly, of course, the boyfriend is the first person of interest, never a suspect, but they clear him really quickly. None of the evidence, everything that they can put together matches with what he's saying. He had run errands beforehand with his friend. So when his friend is there, because my first thought is he did it. Him and the friend did it together. But security footage from the places they had been, put them everywhere, phone records, everything matches. Now the couple that she was showing the house, she never put their name down anywhere. She had saved them in her phone as $1 million client or something. Never got, I don't know if she ever got a name, but she never told anybody. She never wrote it down anywhere. The phone records, they looked into the cell phone. It was a burner phone that had been purchased a year before the attack, registered to a fake name and a fake address. A neighbor had seen them walking up the street. So that's the other thing. I was like, well, why was it when there was a car?
Right, where did they go?
They had parked somewhere else and they walked. So the car was never in the driveway. A neighbor had seen the woman was described as wearing this very distinct dress, and so that was kind of their only like shred of hope, was that the dress was so just odd. It was like black, white, and hot pink, like some like weird like pattern. So they were hoping it was going to turn out to be like a designer dress with a limited run. Unfortunately, they were able to track down like the dress, and it was a very popular dress sold in tons of department stores. So that they had nothing there.
Right.
It was determined that the murderers were professionals based on the burner phone. You know, they had purchased the burner phone.
Right. They were
in advance. The attack was clearly personal. It was meant. She was meant to be the victim. She was not robbed. The house was empty. Nothing was obviously stolen from the house. She was not sexually assaulted in any way. The motive, they don't know why.
Right.
So
this poor family.
Yeah. Super awful. It is still unsolved. There has been some connections that they've made, I guess, some weeks prior. She had visited her dad in another part of Canada, of Vancouver. I apologize. I really don't. I don't know Canada. And she had told him that she was planning on breaking up with her boyfriend. So again, part of why they thought maybe it was him, but
he has the alibi.
It really seems like it wasn't. Part of me is like, but he still could have.
Why? So the back door was open. This couple supposedly fled out the back door.
And I guess.
And he had to.
House, there was another street back there. So there was either that's where they were parked, or they had a third person waiting for them, and they got away completely. No real description. Nobody saw the man's face. The woman was only seen from the side.
But the woman was seen, so that's what makes me think that like it's probably not the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But like, do you think? I mean, I don't want to do like speculation, but like maybe there was another woman interested in the boyfriend.
It could be. But that
obviously
they
we
are
don't know.
saying that these were likely
professionals,
hitmen.
That's terrifying. She's a 24-year-old girl who wants her dead that bad.
Yeah.
This poor girl.
What ended
poor
up
family.
The kind of big, and they still can't figure out the connection, but a lot of people, they do speculate. So when she had visited her dad in her hometown, she had reached out to somebody she knew in high school. She had messaged him on Facebook Messenger, and she had tried to call him. They don't know whether or not she ever actually got a hold of him. A few days before her murder, he was involved in the area's largest cocaine trafficking bust. And so the speculation is that for one reason or another, she was killed to send a message. There was a police informant, but apparently it was confirmed that she was not the police informant. But I guess when she visited her dad, she had, I kind of did a little listening and reading about the story from two different
places,
podcasters, and so one of them kind of went into details that the other didn't. So I am not certain on the accuracy of this, but apparently she had told her dad that she witnessed something bad. So whatever they say, it wasn't the police informant, but I was thinking, like, what if she did that? What if her dad, or what if she also told her boyfriend that? And what if one of them were the police informant, and so she was killed as a message to them? Because she doesn't really have other ties to this whole situation besides, like, she knows that guy. But again, it wasn't somebody she appeared to be super close with. She knew him from high school.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. You could speculate for days and like come up with multiple. That's so sad.
And I guess like another woman.
When did this happen?
In 2008.
Oh my God, it's still unsolved.
Yeah. And I don't think they have really gotten any closer to solving it. I guess
the Canadian police are awful. I mean, their justice system is so messed up. You hear about like rapists and like unalivers constantly getting out of prison, and they're warning the public that they're likely to offend again, and it's like in a week they do. So the Canadian justice system is not the best from what I've heard.
Yeah. And I guess the police said that there is no way that physical evidence is going to solve this case. The only way anything is
like confession
is if somebody comes forward with information. There just isn't evidence.
That's so sad.
It is, yeah.
That's so sad. Yeah. Just a girl trying to make a fucking living.
Yeah, and so this is kind of what I especially wanted to touch on regarding the risk of this job. So she was murdered in the master bedroom, right in front of the master bath, right in front of the doorway. And again, she was attacked from behind. So they assumed that she went to walk into the bathroom and she was attacked.
Right. You always stop and let them go in.
Always let your client, if it's somebody you don't know. I mean, even sometimes clients that you do know, you don't know anymore. You could be working with somebody for 6 months before, there are sick people out there, but you should always keep yourself close to the doors. Let your clients go in to rooms first. Don't go in the basement.
You don't even need to show them around the house. So you can just stay downstairs and say, have a look around, and I'll be here if you have any questions.
Yeah. Especially if it's somebody you're not comfortable with. I think that's the safest way to go. I think that it's better to maybe give less than perfect service than to find yourself murdered. Or injured or assaulted or just anything.
Right. There's definitely precautions that you can take. I mean, I don't want to criticize what she did, but if she did have her back to them then she took off her shoes, you can buy those little booties to go over your shoes just in case you need to run. It
is so hard to plan for.
I mean, you could be so prepared and it's still.
And some of the things are just the tiniest of mannerisms that you don't ever think.
Right.
But to walk into a room.
Right.
That doesn't seem, you know what I mean? You can, don't show the basement, carry a weapon, all of those things. But it can be the tiniest thing you don't even think of that.
Right. So a big thing that I have heard is you back your car into the driveway, park in the street, and then when they pull in, back your car behind them, or stay parked in the street so that way if you need to get out of there, you can. Yeah, you can just never be too safe. And I know that it's one thing to sit here and preach safety, but like you said, you let your guard down for a second and you don't even.
I have been in, luckily it wasn't an unsafe situation, but I have put myself in situations that could have been unsafe and been in it and been like,
oh shit,
I know not to do this. It was one of my listings. I was showing it by myself to a man I didn't know. He lived in the area. My sign's out front, my phone number's there. It is in a vacant home. In a fairly rural area. Cornfields. The house was surrounded by cornfields. And
not uncommon around here.
Basement. And I said, okay.
Have at it.
I went down with him.
Oof.
Once I got down there, I was armed. And once I was down there, I was immediately like,
what am I doing?
What did I do? And so I kept myself away from him. I didn't turn my back to him, and I kept myself at the bottom of the stairs. In reality, if he would have had any intentions on harming me,
he could have overpowered you.
Yeah. The stairs weren't saving me. It was a basement, even he could have, reached through the steps come from either side. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes either hearing a tragic story or being in a situation
where you're like, oh shit.
You can see all of the ways that it can go so badly.
Yeah.
The fact is this can be such a dangerous job because we are often inside of empty homes with strangers.
Right. You'll definitely see jokes about realtors making TikToks and oh, my mom told me not to talk to strangers and here I am meeting them by myself. It's funny, but it's not.
It is reality.
It is. It's scary. My mom had a condo in like West Hartford, and she was doing an open house.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
And like as she was closing the open house up, 2 guys came in, and one of the guys had like an ace bandage, like one side wrapped around this hand, one side wrapped around this hand, and he walked through the door like that. And then when he realized my mom wasn't alone, he was like, oh. And she was like, yeah, we're closing, like you can leave. And she like shoved him out the door and closed the door and locked the door. But like it's the reality, like most realtors are women.
Yeah.
Most realtors are young, attractive women. And I mean, it's a preyable job, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We preach in our office, like, don't go alone, like do the buddy system, like have somebody come with you. And most of our agents do either bring like their husband, or they ask the other agents to like meet them and stuff. It's so important. You have to like always think of safety. I mean, even carrying, like it's absolutely like awesome if you carry, but like you still need to be mindful of your surroundings. Like you can't just be like, well, I'm carrying so I'm safe. Like, no, you still keep on top of it. I definitely think it's an important subject to cover.
No, it is. Yeah. Josh always does my open houses with me. Even like he'll just sit outside.
Yeah, right. But be there.
Yeah. It can be scary, you know? And the jokes, you know, between realtors on like social media, it's funny. You have to. You know, it is our reality. You have to laugh at it. You know, it's insane when you really break it down like that, a stranger called me up on the phone and was like, can you meet me at this empty house?
And we're like, yeah.
and it's funny. It not even in a like haha way, but it's funny. It's funny that we grow up not, you know, you don't put like my phone number is on the internet.
I know, right?
I think about that sometimes.
I'm surprised that you guys don't get creepy phone calls.
No, never. Surprisingly,
I like think about that.
Somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, what's Nicole's phone number?"
I know.
And I'm gonna be like, "Hello." Is your refrigerator running? What's your favorite scary movie? But please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that.
I'll cry.
Yeah. Please.
But it's so scary that it is laughable. I love it. I love this job.
Right.
But you have to be
You careful. Are taking risks. Yeah. I will say too, on regards, I mean, I know 2008 is definitely a long time ago, and I'm sure things were much different back then. But nowadays, if somebody calls you and wants $1 million house, like, you get those credentials. Yeah. Like, it's like, all right, well, prove to me that you can afford that.
I want your pre-approval for a jumbo loan or your funds.
Yes. So it has come a long way, like that as far as that aspect.
Yeah.
And usually, I mean, I know it's not like fun to like meet people and have them like sign a contract, but you are supposed to have like an agency disclosure. I mean, I guess somebody could fake their name and signature on that, but you usually ask for an ID. So those are just important steps to take. Ask for the ID, ask for the pre-approval, like that way you know they're real.
Yeah.
Or you would hope. And you can call the bank and make sure like, hey, this person is real. They have these funds here.
I think it definitely is important to keep stories like this in mind, especially for newer agents, because I think about it, and if somebody called me tomorrow, I mean, not tomorrow now, but if somebody had called me yesterday and said, I want to buy this $1 million house and I want the fastest close possible, I'm jumping on
right.
That would be so, like,
that's a dream come true.
I am less than 2 years into my career. That would be so huge.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, that's what happened for her. It's
for
so
sure.
hard, that excitement.
How can you say no to that kind of money?
It's so much money.
That kind of client. You have that client forever now. Like, what if they want to buy a vacation home or they want to sell that home? It puts
you on the map. The millionaire buyer probably has millionaire friends.
Right.
And
you want that.
Yeah.
No, I totally see. I mean, I don't think there's any agent that would pass up that chance.
No, especially a new agent, you know, somebody who has experience working with especially that sort of clientele is going to know a little better how to go about that. They're not going to.
Right. She didn't know the
Yeah.
proper procedure, and unfortunately, she didn't have the ending that she had hoped, and that's really unfortunate.
No,
I'm
it's
so
super
sad
sad.
for
And
her family.
I hope that,
I mean, maybe like some sort of like DNA will come or something, some sort of something. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sad for her family.
I know. I hope that they do manage to find something. Unfortunately, this long after the fact, the chances of somebody real coming up with information regarding it is super unlikely.
Unless they get caught for something else and then they like decide to confess to that for a lesser sentence or something. But yeah, unfortunately, they probably.
Yeah, and if it really was the drug trafficking situation, the chance of that somebody deciding to be honest, isn't super likely. And yeah, it is super tragic. But I think that these sorts of things are important.
Channel is like broad spectrum real estate. Welcome to Realty and Realty.
Something for everybody.
Yes, for sure. So, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, stay safe.
Yes. Thanks.
Thanks for joining. Subscribe, ring the bell.
Ring the bell.